Point 2, cooperative and producer company integration of water. Amend the Companies Act 1956, that is Producer Company Provision, and Cooperative Societies Act. Allow water as a service or commodity explicitly within the permissible business subjects of cooperative and producer companies. This would let farmer producer companies legally manage community water assets, for example, tube well, check dam, irrigation channels, and supply water against membership fees or volumetric charges. Second, create a new category of water producer company. Similar to dairy or energy cooperatives, farmer producer companies could manage extraction, treatment, and distribution of water for agriculture and allied businesses. Third, now we would need reform in pricing, tariff, and contractual provisions. Uniform guidelines for water pricing would be required. So, developing central guidelines under the Interstate River Water Disputes Act and Model Groundwater Bill that allow cooperatives and farmer producer companies to recover costs through tariffs would be essential. Then next, water supply contracts, in this case legally enable long-term water service contracts between farmer producer companies and members, like power purchase agreement in energy. Groundwater and surface water regulation also need some amount of reform. The major points being: amend state groundwater acts. Currently, groundwater is linked to land rights, leading to inequities. A permit and licensing system, community based, not individual landowner centric, would allow water to be managed collectively and traded within limits. The second part is integrated basin management laws. Farmer producer organizations and cooperatives could be recognized as legitimate stakeholders in basin level planning, ensuring they can invest in recharge, conservation, and distribution. Economic instruments and incentives needs to be created to promote this idea. So GST and tax provision exemption for community-based water services by farmer producer companies or cooperatives from GST to encourage formalization is something that we need to think about. Priority lending by NABARD and banks would be important because this would include water business models like distribution, irrigation services, and treatment under priority sector lending to incentivize FPOs. Further, we can add it to carbon credit and SDG finances as well, recognizing water service saving practices through carbon markets or SDG linked payments, creating an additional revenue stream for cooperatives would be important. Safeguarding and equity, right to minimum water. Ensure that any commodification does not comprise the fundamental right to drinking water. A legal minimum allocation for domestic use should be non-negotiable. And community ownership. A mandate would be required that cooperatives or farmer producer companies dealing in water must be majority owned by local producers, preventing corporate capture. So if we are to follow this, we would also require new institutional mechanism. So we would need a water authority, regulatory authority for water services, similar to electricity regulatory commissions, create state water regulatory authority with powers to license, price and oversee farmer producer companies or cooperatives engaged in water business. Then next is water markets. We need to pilot projects of regulated water markets like intra-village or intra-FPO where surplus treated water can be sold, especially in industrial agriculture cluster. So if I am to summarize this, India needs statutory recognition of water as both a social right and economic good, with water rights, cooperative producer company amendments, pricing mechanism and regulatory bodies to integrate water into business models. This would allow farmer producer companies and cooperatives to sustainably manage water as an input, a service and even a tradable commodity while safeguarding equity and ecology. Thank you.